Good evening, everyone. It's 5 o'clock, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. Sean Callan.
Here.
Julie Chetney.
Here.
Tom Chapa here. Sean Onmacht.
Here.
Tim Rice.
Here.
And Jennifer Salazzo.
Here.
And Student Representative Leah Norton is not here right now. If you join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And next up on the agenda is Floor to the Public, and we do have one speaker. I'm going to read my little thing, Jen, if you don't mind. Oswego City School District's Board of Education welcomes public comment at this portion of the meeting using the following guidelines. Each speaker who signed up is permitted 3 minutes for their comments. Speakers may not yield remaining time to others. All comments must be directed to the board president. The board will listen to comments and input, but will not necessarily debate or discuss items. Operational matters will be directed to school administration for handling. The board is not permitted to address personnel or individual student matters in open session. The board will limit repetitive comments to give time to others wishing to speak, as well as to maintain meeting efficiency. The board president has the authority to end the speaker's comments or close public comment as appropriate. Any additional written correspondence or letters may be directed to the board clerk for distribution to the board. The board expects proper decorum at all times, and all speakers should state their full name and address.
Good evening, and happy SRP Day. SRP Recognition Day acknowledges the contributions of the school-related professionals helping to educate the whole student. SRP members perform a variety of key roles in schools, working as bus drivers, aides, school nurses, custodians, secretaries, food service workers, TAs, along with crossing guards and a dozen other job titles. Officially established as a New York State law in 2007, SRP Recognition Day falls on the third Tuesday of each November. School-related professionals work side by side as partners in the education of our children. Our bus drivers and bus aides safely transport our students to and from school. The cafeteria workers keep our students well-nourished. Our secretaries keep records, answer the doorbell, and assist families and staff. Our nurses and other healthcare staff keep students healthy. Our teacher aides and our teaching assistants provide students with care and education. Our custodians keep our school clean and safe. Our maintenance, building, and ground staff keep it all running. Our security and our SROs keep everyone safe. And our crossing guards make sure children arrive to school and back home safely every day. I can't think of a better month than November to offer our thanks to all of these dedicated professionals who help make the Oswego City School District what it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Yes. And next up, we have, right on time, our student representative. Oh, excuse me, no, we don't. Hold on, you're good right now. We have acknowledgments with Jen Salazzo.
Okay. For Charles E. Riley, our faculty and staff spent November 10th engaging in meaningful professional development focused on the PLC process, diving into how collaborative teamwork, shared goals, and collective responsibility will elevate the way we serve students each and every day. This learning laid the groundwork for a stronger, more unified approach to instruction and support, one that will deeply impact our practice, our culture, and ultimately our student success. Our literacy night, Bingo for Books, on Wednesday, November 12th, was an incredible success, bringing nearly 200 members of our Riley community together for our evening filled with fun, learning, and connection. From the excitement of bingo and the joy of choosing new books to the comfort of therapy dogs, delicious pizza, and the energy brought by the Oswego men's hockey team, complete with raffle prizes, the night truly had something for everyone. Every child went home with a book in hand, helping to strengthen their love for reading and celebrate the importance of being a reader. It was a more memorable night that showcased the power of community and the magic of literacy. For Minetto, we love math. Our math club is off to a great start. Our student leaders support their peers, learning through hands-on activities that involve a lot of problem solving and collaboration. Students attend math club a few times a week and all have reported that math is fun. for the high school. Congratulations to the OHS Drama Club on a fantastic performance last weekend of the Hamley Thrill-Mageddon. It was a fun event with many in attendance. Great job to everyone involved in the show. For Layton, fourth graders in Mrs. Leonard's room partnered with SUNY Oswego and the Lady Lakers on a writing project. Layton students worked on collaborative conversations, both speaking and listening, and adding their own transition words and details. They had a great time interviewing and learning about SUNY Oswego students. And for Kingsford, KPS recently wrapped up our community read with a school-wide masked reader assembly. Students had a great time guessing which teachers were disguised as the Oswego Buck, Spider-Man, the Easter Bunny, and even Friendly Ghost. At the end of October, Student Council continued their annual Give-tober tradition with the always popular Pie in the Face assembly, and Principal P was not spared. That's it.
Thank you very much. And now, our student representative, Leah.
Hi. So to start off, winter sports have officially started. So hopefully all those students involved have a great season. College, the counselors are still helping seniors with college applications every Tuesday in like the theater area if anyone needs it. And today was a really cool day. So today we had a district-wide pajama day. It was in recognition of National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week. It was set up by the High School Student Council. And so it was pajamas for a purpose and meals that matter. So everyone, if they wore pajamas, they should have brought in a donation of either $1 or they could have, each building had like a different canned good they were supposed to bring in. And so at some point, all the student councils are going to get together from the whole district, and we're going to make bags for students who need like dinners and stuff for over like Thanksgiving break. So it was really good to connect the district in that way, and a good way to connect all the student councils. So it'll be really cool. So yeah, that's it for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Leah. Next up, we have Board of Education. Item A, resolution to unseal ballot box following election and destroy ballots. Can I get a motion, please?
Move it.
Thank you, Tim. And can I get a second?
second.
Jen, thank you. And a second. Discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Item B, NISBA Essential Policy Manual Development and Update Service Contract. Can I get a motion for that, please?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Tim. And a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Discussion. This is just, I would just say one more thing, moving along with policy. This is finally the contract that we've been talking about, going with NISBA away from Erie 1 on this to simplify our policies moving forward. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And now, item 7, availability of district safety plan, 2025 district safety plan revised this month. Can I get a motion, please?
Move it.
Thank you, Sean. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tim. This is our safety plan, which has been revised to comply with Dacia's law and is available for review. And there'll be a public hearing and adoption of the 2025-26 district safety plan on January 6th, the January 6th board meeting, first board meeting when we're back in January. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. And now it's on to superintendent's report.
Great. I'm going to invite up our Director of Athletics, and not only that, but also the high school physical education department head. They're going to be presenting to the board not only on the athletics program, but also physical education K-12. So with that, I'll turn it over to Cynthia Lizon to start.
Evening. Wasn't a report for the superintendent, but hey, no, I'm just kidding. So tonight, thank you. This isn't our normal venue here. We're usually operating out of, gymnasiums, fields, ice rinks, whatever. But with sports being going, I'm sure we just don't have room to get into those areas right now. So I'm going to give a brief outline of what our what our athletic program is. In athletics, just so everyone's aware, it is actually an extension of the school day. So it should be an education-based athletic program. The building blocks for that actually are our phys ed program, which is why they're usually combined together with the same person, so to speak, in districts. So if I know how to use this correctly, Matt said I should be able to do this, yes. So last year I kind of started off my presentation similar fashion. We do have a couple new members here, so I just want to make sure that you understood the layout of athletics in New York State. If you do already, that's great. But the governing body of our whole entire athletic program is the New York State Public High School Athletic Association. Within that association, we have 768 schools. Within that, we are part of Section 3, which also has 108 schools. That's in our section, Syracuse area and surrounding. I'll have a picture on the next slide. Within that section, we are in what's called the Salt City Athletic Conference. So and there's 15 schools still currently in our conference. So scale it all the way down. We are Oswego City School District, so we are just one member of the bigger league, and then one member of the bigger section, and then part of New York State. So that's where we're at there. That is the whole makeup of Section 3. It was just a snippet taking out of the whole map of New York State, just putting us on the map somewhere. So you can see a lot of our schools are in Syracuse area. We are what would be called the outskirts a little bit. But class placements, because that seems to be a discussion amongst people in the community and my coaches as well. Just so you know, it's not that the state changes the classification every year, it's just our numbers change. And sometimes they do a different classification number at the state, which is rarely not too often, but just so you are aware, I left it on from previous years so that you guys would understand like our current number that we use and what we'll be using next year. So 2025-26 is where we are this year at 854 students. That is not our high school population. I know Ray and I talked about this. He's like, that's always so confusing. People don't understand that. And I was like, well, what they do, the state takes an average of your freshman class and your sophomore class. So they have a freshman number, sophomore number, they take an average, and then they add the freshman, sophomore, and that average to get that number. Because they're assuming in this time frame, that's going to be the bulk of your athletes participating in that sport. You know, so next year we are at 834. What you see there for 6 class sport teams, boys, girls soccer, you know, I only highlight when our class changes, and that's just so you guys are aware of what that means. So as you can see here, there's not much changing. Outdoor track and field, that was a change this coming year. We are going to be an A from a B, and then next year we'll still be an A. Oops, sorry. Other sports is within New York State Public High School that we belong to. Again, I left the numbers still up there, but you will see that in game day cheer, which is the fall cheerleading, we will move from a Class A, which we were this year, and we actually placed 4th in our section. We didn't make it to states, but we were 4th in our section, which was great. We are moving to a Class B next year for that particular sport. So everything else will still stay the same based on our number. In some sports, like you'll see boys volleyball, a lot of the state is split with that, so some operate in the winter, some operate in the fall, and also in girls volleyball as well. But for boys volleyball, it stays divisions because there's really not there's not a significant amount of team numbers, like schools that have that sport, so it falls into those divisions. And relating this whole presentation, you know, talking with Ray, he wants to know, or is asked, what our mission and vision are for the athletic programs and phys ed programs. And my response was quickly, well, it shouldn't really be any different. Like, we should be operating under that same mission and vision. So our hope with athletics and phys ed, excuse me, is to empower and engage students to guarantee their successful future. The vision is also our school community is dedicated to equity and excellence for each student. Core values, this is the slide that's listed on for our district, but the core values is where in athletics we tweak it to fit where we are going. So you'll see that in the rest of the presentation. So fall sports, again, I'm just going to give you an outline. For those of you that are new, this is what we have here. I know it looks a little confusing, but in fall sports, I have the girls on one side, boys on the other. If they're a shared sport, like our coaches for varsity cross country, for instance, coach boys and girls. Our coaches for modified cross country coach boys and girls. I put those numbers up there so you know, and I know you guys got this presentation, so you'll know the sports we have in the fall for girls, in the fall for boys, and how many coaches, paid coaches, that we actually have alongside of that. So if you took girls volleyball, for instance, varsity has a 1 next to it, we have 1 paid coach. JV has a 1 next to it, we have 1 paid coach. I just think that's good information for you guys to have as we get further into this presentation. So in summary of that fall sports, we have 6 girls sports, 12 teams, 13 paid coaches. Boys sports, 5 sports, 12 teams, and 18 paid coaches. Reason there's a little bit more coaches there is the sports that we have are for the boys are football, which is a high contact sport, which requires safety in numbers, so there'll be more coaches. I jumped right to winter sports, just as our student member mentioned. We are rearing that up right now, just started yesterday. But these are the teams that we have here. Unified bowling won't start till January-ish, but right now we're working with, all the sports that are here and trying to figure out facilities. That'll be part of my presentation later too. But just want you guys to see the outline of what we have. Those are the sports we have. We have a lot of sports here. Not a bad thing. And then the summary, just to summarize that, it's girls sports. We have 6 sports, but there are 11 teams. Boys sports, there's 7 sports with 14 teams. And then unified bowling is 1 combined team. Spring sports, same thing. We have a few less sports in the spring, but that's true for everyone around New York State. So that's just where the seasons fall. So softball or baseball, outdoor track, golf, tennis, lacrosse, and unified basketball, which usually starts up I think last year we tried to do it in March. So again, the summary of spring sports, girls are 4, 8 teams, boys are 4, 10 teams, and then unified basketball. So totaling what we have here in our district, I know last year I highlighted on all the numbers, but then I had to step back to let you guys know that there's at least 1,200 student athletes that participate. I don't want to give you the exact numbers because some do repeat, but also some sports do have cutoff numbers of which they operate. So that number could really be exorbitantly higher if we just had unlimited participation, which we can't do because it's not financially responsible. All right, so collaboration and community connections. I know you guys have been around the table here and know that we just recently did a combination with Legends Fields and the county with a partnership, so thank you for that. But you'll also see we also work with Benjamin Fields Complex at the middle school area to use for modified soccer, ice rinks and baseball fields with Oswego City. Ice rinks, that's a huge take on right now, being if you didn't know that one of the rinks is down right now in the community. So we are operating and working well with everyone from the city, trying to get 2 varsity hockey teams going with practice with 1 rink with figure skating and youth hockey, and it's a fun challenge. And then also with the use of our facilities here, we work with youth basketball programs like BBO, Lakers Swim uses our facilities, Youth Lacrosse, Pop Warner, Little League. And then a big connection that I have working in the athletic office is with the Buck Boosters. They do a lot for us and help boost our programs and morale with athletics. So we have the Buck of the Month. They also sponsor the Buck Parade, Buck Bowl Homecoming Week, which was really nice this year. Senior nights, they do all of the hangings for that. We did just do a national letter of intent signing last week with one of our students, Peyton Bond, who will be attending Lemoyne for Division I girls lacrosse. So that was a really nice event. They also provide goodie bags and T-shirts, and I know last year I was really awesome and brought you guys all these T-shirts because you guys got one to match them, but I didn't ask them for them this year because we just kind of ran out of time. We had a lot going on. So I'll work on those for another time and make sure you guys get your Buck shirt for this year. The more collaboration, I constantly work with the Oswego County Athletic Directors. Not that we want to try to create our own league, but we do work together to try to bring teams into the county or at least showcase what we have in our counties. So this year we're going to try to go forward with basketball tournaments. Girls will be at Central Square, boys will be at Phoenix. We tried to host it last year and then we got snowed out, so we couldn't do it here. But in the future, I'll look to host that for us. We did volunteer to host league meets here for modified cross country and outdoor track and field. Everyone seems to love our track and the facilities. It's just a matter of the heat I take with parking, so it's just a matter of trying to figure that all out. But other than that, everyone loves our place with that. And then for other events, I usually volunteer if anyone wants us to host basketball, if our gym is ready to go. So I'm never shy if people really want to use our facilities. It's just a matter of, can I fit it all in with what we already have? So updates and ongoing projects. Last year, I was tasked with updating our athletic code of conduct. I'm sure most of you sitting around the table probably clicked yes, you agree to everything, because that's what we do in Family ID when you register your kids. But the athletic code was changed. It was brought here. I wasn't doing that in isolation. We actually took a committee with all the stakeholders, principals from middle school, high school, parents, community members, whatnot. We reviewed other schools' athletic code of conducts, and we kind of looked at what wasn't working in ours and what we thought we should do. So educating about the updates and implement this school year is where we're at. If there's things we need to change, which we're already getting bogged down with some of the changes that need to happen. That's why I put this on the ongoing projects, because I feel like we need to adjust and be flexible with what we're dealing with from student athletes and our parents. You know, some of the things maybe aren't that we're asking kids to do, you know, be to school on time. Sometimes there's different circumstances and we need to be flexible, but we're making notes, and we'll resume a meeting at the end of June to kind of see where we're at and what we should change with that committee. So not everything is locked in stone, just locked in stone for the year. Sportsmanship and expectations, this is a big one here. Not just here in Oswego, but we do talk about it in our leagues. We talk about it in our school. We talk about it in the section. And I don't want to say we just talk about it. I know at the state level, they've implemented some regulations for us to follow, which I have done that here. But when you look at the section does want to do more with promoting good sportsmanship. We're just not there yet. But in our league, we discuss things of, you know, situations that may have happened in our home district, like how would you handle that? Just so other ADs get a feel for what might happen in Oswego versus what might happen in ESM, and how, you know, sometimes it seems like it's different, and how do we let our communities know that we are working together to make sure it's equitable around, especially around all of our students, because they can't expect one thing one place and one thing at another place. So we're trying to promote positive sportsmanship at all events. School announcements are made, which is, I'm giving you the background of what we could do here. Like, we make the announcements at the games, which nobody listens to, I guess. But if my site personnel do know that the rules are, you know, the first time you're being unsportsmanlike, you're going to get a warning. The second time, you're going to be asked to leave. But I do want to make note that once the contest starts, you know, you lose. I'm not saying I lose that control, but that control does then go to the officials. So if an official feels that something's going on in the stands that needs to be handled and somebody needs to go, I have to handle that, or my staff has to handle that. So the officials do kind of control the game once it gets started. So like I said, in our leagues, we're discussing it. In our section, we're discussing it. I would like to have a handbook made, not a handbook, but documents made, you know, expectation sheet, especially when you're hosting sectionals. What should be there, what's expected. So that's something I'm working on within our league, and then moving that toward the section as a proposal. So those are things individually I'm working on, because I know it will make things a lot easier if everyone knows the playing field that we're playing on and the rules. So more ongoing projects. I have here coaching needs. And what I really mean by that is I want to clearly look at, like, do a general assessment of the programs. You know, honestly, I said that earlier with the fall, there's more boy or male gender coaches or male coaches for boys teams because of the contact sports with football. So contact sports, you know, safety is the must, so we need to have some people there. All other sports, you know, that's a judgment call, and that's something I have to make. I usually will discuss that with the superintendent. I usually would discuss that with programs. I usually discuss that with the person that holds all the money here too. Not saying money is ever going to limit us, but I do want to make sure we're doing what's best for the district. So safety should always be the first thing that we're looking at. I do also, when I'm doing an assessment, look at what other schools like size, like areas, what do they have in their programs and what do they utilize? And I talk to them about that just to see what would work for us, because I don't want it just another body. I want something that's actually going to be effective. So those are things that we're looking at. When I say assistance, but I also have next to that right sizing, because sometimes if you're looking at numbers, if you go through Schedule Galaxy and you're seeing rosters and coaches and whatnot, you might see that certain sports, I'm not going to mention it, but they might have 3 to 5 student athletes and a coach. And other sports might have 15 to 16 or 20 and one coach. So those are some things that, you know, I need to look at, and we need to see where we should make adjustments. So when I say right sizing, it might be having one coach a boys team and a girls team, because total there might be 15. those are just some, things to think about. So I'd love to have an assistant at all levels, but like I said, it's just not feasible. So I need to work on identifying needs and ways to address that with the limited resources. And I say resources, it's not just financial, it's facilities as well. And just make sure we're looking at those things. Coaches evaluation tool, that's always going to be something that we need to work on to do better. I don't really want to speak more. I know I said a lot about that last year. We are in a better place, but I would still I'd like to see, a separate one for modified JV and assistants versus what I expect from a varsity leader of the program. Now looking at facilities, like I said, we're limited here. I don't know if you guys see or realize that, but we are. And I'm always looking for ways to maximize our spaces. So I am working with winter coaches right now just to make sure we're making things work every single day. Transportation, again, I say limited. We're always looking for answers. And right now, if you have a child playing modified boys basketball, you'll see that I've doubled up home games. So they're playing 2 games at once, or they're going to Central Square with 2 teams. They're doing that on the same night so that we're taking 1 bus. So we are trying to get things a little more streamlined there to use less drivers, just because we're using what we can use with the departure times that we have. So program goals, and I'll go through these really quick. I'm working on this currently about create and implement a safety plan for all coaches to practice and use with their teams. And I do meet with coaches about that. I do feel like it's high priority because if something happens at the field, a lot of times they rely on our athletic trainer. If it's something that we could do right there as far as having the AED and making sure students and coaches know what to do, we could be saving lives as opposed to having a catastrophe. Professional development opportunities for coaches and myself. I know Deb's going to be speaking shortly, but her and I will be attending a phys ed conference this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'll tell you more about that in a minute, but so that's opportunities for me. I know I have coaches that have finally reached out to do some PD, so that's awesome. We're working on that and getting that paid for too. Since space is an issue in our district, I know I said last year I'd like to work with the principals and try to get in the buildings more and have a space. If that's not possible, I've got to figure out another way. How do I get into here? This week I've already been in the building, I feel like every single day, but I need to kind of go find a spot. I will find a spot in this building, even if it's even if it's the phys ed area, if they maybe have a space for me, I might just be there so students know if they want to go, chat and give me some information. It could just be how their season is going, for instance. So I'd also like to form clubs for student athletes so they can feel more a part of decisions that are made and have a voice with athletics. I'd also like to bring in guest speakers for student athletes and coaches. Not so much, it could be educational, but I really need some motivation, get kids fired up about the sports that they're participating in. Create and utilize an end-of-season survey for coaches and students, anonymous, of course. Update and possibly create coach evaluation tools that can be more level-specific, which I already mentioned. Evaluate our athletic facilities and come up with a long-range plan to address the needs of our athletic programs. That would obviously mean working with the facilities committee and being a part of discussions that they are having. Continue to collaborate with everyone that I've already mentioned and continue to put Oswego City School District on the map positively with athletics. That's my final goal, I think. But so far, I think I've been doing a decent job with that, especially trying to get teams here that normally wouldn't be here, whether it's girls basketball, sectional games, and just getting people here and making sure it's a safe environment for everyone. So, as I said, this is Deb Kasmer. She's my PE leader. If you guys didn't know, she does a fantastic job. She was appointed, I believe, at the position 3 years ago when I started here. So she's kind of been my wing person for the phys ed area because it's a bulk of a job. She does great. She's very organized. She is attending the same conference I am because she actually is certified to be an administrator. But she also has to go to the conference because last week she was recognized Monday night at our Central North Zone Awards. She was the secondary PE teacher of the year. So that was a recognition last Monday night at Vernon Downs Casino. Not that we like to gamble, but this week it'll be at the Turning Stone Resort. So Thursday, so within that same organization, that's the local level. She had the secondary PE teacher award, but at the state level, she will be receiving our Amazing Person Award for the New York State AFERD. So that will be Thursday night. She'll get another award there. So it's not just me that's recognizing her for doing these great things. Like our whole phys ed department and health teachers know that she does great work, and I can't say enough about her, but I do want her to take the floor and let her roll with what she wants to talk to you guys about phys ed. And everyone behind me I know has a stopwatch on me, so I'm probably way over. Sorry, this is my one moment. We'll take questions when we're both done.
Okay, thank you very much, and I hope that I can read that. So I just wanted to say good evening and thank you for the opportunity to share the vision for our district's K-12 physical education program. Physical education plays a unique and essential role in the health, well-being, and academic success of every student. Just a quick look at some numbers. You're aware of this. These are our schools. We have 5 elementary schools. We have approximately 1.5 instructors at each elementary, with the exception of Layton, who has 1. We have some extra sections here and there. At our secondary level, we have 3 instructors at the middle school. We have 4.8 assigned at the high school. One of our high school teachers is help covering a couple of sections at the elementary level. We currently are very pleased that we are able to have an intramural program at the K-12 level. We didn't always have an intramural program that was across the board K-12. A couple of years ago, we, at the high school level, were able to implement a program that runs 5 days a week. 2 days a week, we offer a team-based activity, and the other, which is in the gym, and 5 days a week, we offer an activity that's in the weight room. It's personalized exercise prescription, and we feel that giving the students extra time after school benefits all students because everybody has equal access to fitness. You know, it's extending their school day. At the elementary level and the middle level, they meet twice per week. And so this creates consistency amongst all of the buildings now that we're able to offer this. This is just a little blurb from the CDC, and it speaks to the amount of physical activity that benefits children, how much physical activity is necessary, at least 60 minutes daily, the multiple benefits that are available. The American College of Sports Medicine is another organization that also gives recommendations for exercise. Believe it or not, over the last 30 years or so, these recommendations have greatly changed. It used to be the recommendation was about 30 minutes a day, a few days a week. It's now 60 minutes a day, every day. And so we really feel, like I mentioned, especially with our intramurals program, reaching all of our students, having that extra time is really essential. As physical educators, we really do listen to those recommendations, and it informs the type of curriculum that we like to implement. A little bit about our curriculum at the high school and in the district itself. Our curriculum is a blend of 3 different models: the sport education model, the multi-activity model, and the lifetime fitness and wellness models. All of these models have some features that are in common. They all incorporate skill development, teamwork, sportsmanship, cooperation, as well as exposure to a variety of activities for the purpose of increasing physical literacy for life. Okay? To talk about the vision for PE, you really have to talk about standards. And so standards in physical education have been an interesting journey because for a very long time, they were stagnant. Our standards, we were following the same standards since about 1996 in New York State. And there were 3 primary standards. And in 2020, they adopted 6 new standards. So that's a good thing. And this informs our curriculum and how we make decisions and where we want to go with what we're doing in PE. So these new standards, the updated standards, better support lifelong wellness, not just traditional PE skills. They more closely align with progressive instructional practices, inclusion, social emotional learning, technology integration, and they contain a clear but flexible framework to design curriculum, assess, and build a coherent K-12 program based on regional differences, mainly because different districts have different resources. So depending on what you have in your district, that can affect what kind of curriculum you can offer. It's not like a traditional classroom that's the same in every building. Physical education is very specific to what resources you have. So if you dig deeper, this is just a snapshot of specifically what the 6 standards are. You can certainly go to New York State Ed and do a deeper dive into what the standards are, but they start with a competency with a variety of motor skills, as all PE standards do, demonstrating knowledge of the skills. We're tying in personal, social behavior, respect for self and others. We are certainly recognizing the value of physical activity for overall wellness, enjoyment, challenge, and enjoyment, challenge, and self-expression. And then, of course, how can we tie that into career opportunities for students? What career opportunities exist with the pathways that we are introducing them to? Personalized learning. When you think of what goes on at the high school in physical education and what we offer, every student is going to find their niche. And physical education for some students is their niche. And what are those opportunities that we are providing for those kids? So that's something that we need to think about, because every discipline that we offer in the building, we should have things that we're offering for students and leading them in those directions. Which lends us to our next topic here, which are our new graduation measures that have been in production since 2024, Portrait of a Graduate. And in that discussion of Portrait of a Graduate, when we think about what type of courses we offer at the high school and what we want our graduates to be able to do, learn, and know, we've implemented a few new courses at the high school level that are intertwined with Cayuga Community College. So we have a weight training 1-2 and a fitness center 1-2 that are all college credit-bearing courses for students. The hope is to add a few more. We also have a very unique course that's called Silver Bullets that you may or may not be aware of, which is a combination of health and physical education, where students have the opportunity to get credit for both in that same classroom. So it's a combination course where the health teacher and the physical education teacher are working together to teach that curriculum. It's project adventure-based, lots of cooperative games, a lot of teamwork, a lot of working through struggle and challenge. It's an excellent course. And off to the side, you can see what is still the same in terms of graduation requirements. Students must still pass 8 semesters of PE to graduate. Each semester is equivalent to a quarter of credit, and 2 credits are necessary for graduation. So what is our vision for the program? Our vision for the physical education program is to develop physically literate, healthy, and confident students who carry wellness, teamwork, and lifelong activity habits into adulthood, guided by 6 focus areas. So my team, my colleagues, as we meet in our department meetings, as we collaborate, these are the things that have come up. These are the things that we've discussed: technology, curriculum, professional growth, facilities, community connections, and instruction. And so we have program goals that if we feel that in these areas, some of these things will help us build our curriculum and get it going in the right direction for the future. Starting with technology. We feel integrating technology into all classrooms builds equity and access. Portable, clear touch, these are examples. There's several other examples. These are ones that we've identified. I could identify many more. But portable, clear touch monitors on wheels in each gymnasium in all buildings. 9 times out of 10, when I attend a professional development seminar or any other professional development event for PE, 9 times out of 10, the gymnasiums have that. So it really is something that would be an asset to have in a classroom for a physical educator, really to have that portable technology So that's something to consider. Platform license and full integration at the high school level. We recently started using this software. It's called Platform, and it's kind of in its infancy stage at this moment, but each student has a license, and it is physical education, health, wellness-based. Students can go in, they can create a workout, there's resources, there's videos, it's any possible resource they would like to have access to. It's almost like having their own membership. And we use it in the classroom, we use it in our weight room units, we use it anytime that kids, they're not using it on a mobile device per se in class, but their Chromebook, they can use it outside of school. And we can use it in a situation like this where you have a monitor up and you can put like a classroom activity up. We're working on that now. Lou projection system is just an integrative, what it is, it's an integrated type of interactive system that you can display all sorts of content on a wall. It's an interactive playground. It could be a exercise class that you're displaying across a wall. It can be portable. It can be, attached to a ceiling. It's just another piece of technology, another tool. New sound system, updated sound system in the OHS weight room. I think that goes without speaking. That's just something, or goes without saying, that's something that needs to be updated. Heart rate monitors and heart rate monitors for elementary and middle schools. So any sort of wearable technology for students so that we can tie in analyzing data, heart rate, exercise, how are those things connected, cross-curricular concepts, any sort of wearable technology. Anytime we talk about science, we talk about PE, all those connections that we make. So those are some things in the program goal section of technology that we feel will help build our program. Curriculum. In terms of vertically aligning curriculum, standards-based learning, and universal design for learning, all three of those happen in coordination with each other. Vertically aligning the curriculum is something when we first started meeting as a department 3 years ago, I would say, really in a formal way, we started collecting data on who's teaching what when, how are we doing this, what do we want this program to be. This is something that we would like to do in a more formal way. We would like to make sure that we officially are aligning our curriculum. A couple examples of some units that we've identified: disc golf and archery. Those are lifetime fitness units that could be taught K-12. Those are just two examples. Oftentimes, those are units that when we attend professional develop, they have certification where you can go, you can be certified. These are great activities that are accessible for all students. So we think about activities sometimes on the high end in terms of maybe what we can offer, and then activities that might be accessible for students that might not be able to achieve some of those other things. So adaptability. And strengthen our intramurals program. That is something that we need to do. Professional growth. We would like to lead the County Professional Development Day on the OCSD campus someday. Okay, in order for us to do that, we just need to make sure that we have all of the facilities in place with our capital project ready to go, and our facilities are going to be in awesome shape. That is something that we are excited to be able to do. We would love to have the opportunity to do that. Targeted professional growth opportunities that focus on instructional models. We are already starting some targeted professional growth, but we can do more. More targeted professional growth for physical education would greatly benefit what we're doing in our classroom. Project Adventure Silver Bullet Certification and Project Adventure County Collaboration Day, they kind of go hand in hand. Many years ago when I first started teaching, we had a rock wall, and we had a Silver Bullets curriculum where they were climbing, and there was all sorts of things going on with that. But as Cindy mentioned, with equipment and with facilities, things have to be maintained, things have to be updated, there's budgetary concerns, things have to be purchased. we no longer have that, and teachers have to be certified in certain areas to offer those things. That is a goal, a professional goal for us, to be able to offer that as part of that curriculum. That is something that would be really a benefit to our students to be able to offer. Peer observation opportunities, that would be something that would benefit all of our teachers to be able to go in and see, especially if we're aligning our curriculum K-12, how is that teacher teaching that particular skill that I am teaching for this unit? It would be nice to be able to do that. District-wide PLC, we are just starting the conversation of PLC in the district, but within the PE department, we've always had this collaborative, close-knit relationship because we're a little bit smaller, and we've been working in that capacity all along. However, really to have a district-wide PLC, time devoted to what we're doing would be quite beneficial. Facilities. As I look at facilities, things that you will see here are some of the things that Cindy may have mentioned, and standardization across buildings with instructional facilities, expanding outdoor PE areas. So what we have at the middle school, we might not have at the high school. What we have at some elementaries, we may not have. And so as we are thinking, like forward thinking, what are we doing from a curriculum perspective? If we would like to teach, let's say, softball, and I'm at the middle school, or I may want to do something else, do we have those facilities to offer that instruction? So as we make our long-range plans and we think, as I look at my last bullet, which says future-focused enhancements, always be thinking about how will this affect the greater picture of what we're doing in PE, which is the foundation of what they're doing in athletics. So if we can't offer it during the school day, we can't offer it after the school day. And ensure consistency with facilities, with fitness facility opportunities at the 712 buildings. When I think of this, I think of our weight room, which is great at OHS. It would be great to also have that same facility at the middle school, to have another classroom, to create consistency with instruction, OMS and OHS on the first level. So to me and to my colleagues, and as we talk about goals for the program, being able to have that facility at the 712 level and be consistent would be beneficial for the students. Community connections. When we bring in families into our program, it creates a positive school culture around fitness. And that's what we want. We want kids to be positive about what they're doing. We want them to feel positive about coming to PE and excited about physical activity, because that's what carries healthy habits into life, into adulthood. Some ideas that we've had, some of these things we already do. I know the elementary schools have some of these things going on, but improve community relationships with the Y, SUNY Oswego, and the American Red Cross to offer clinics, workshops, and after-school programs. Family engagement, fitness nights, open gyms, and fitness centers. Community programming, adult swim, adult pickleball, after hours. Some schools have this. They have community programming through their rec centers. They put out a program, and these are the things that we offer. It's part of what we do after school, and it brings the community into the physical education program, and they kind of get to see these are the facilities that we have, these are the programs that we're offering, and these are the activities that adults can do. Social media highlighting PE achievements and promoting community wellness events. That's just a nice extra thing to do. We could do more of that. Instruction, and I believe that might be my last bullet. Equity across, and with instruction, the most important thing is that we're doing the best for our students. Equity across the district to meet the needs of all of our students. We want to make sure we're inclusive and we adapt. Can we adapt to the changes and the needs of our students? Are we ensuring equal access in all of our classes? Make sure that we have high-quality instructors in every classroom. Make sure that we have a budget that addresses the needs of the program. And make sure we take a holistic approach. I'm not going to read all the bullets. A holistic approach of what we really need to run the programs. One of the things that we always have an issue with is lifeguards in aquatics. Aquatics is a tough one to cover. Certifications is always a difficult one. There's a lot of different ways that you can address it. Different schools do it different ways. But it is something, if you want a quality aquatics program, you have to really think about some ways of having that, that piece covered. We are very unique in the Oswego City School District that we have 2 pools. Very few, and as a former swim coach, I can say this, very few districts have 2 pools in their district, very few districts. And we should be utilizing it more than we do. It's a life skill that all of our students should have. So it's something that, you know, is a big goal. I would love to be able to see more quality aquatics instruction across the board, but we need to make sure that we have that covered. And we thank you for your time. Hopefully it wasn't too long.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for Cindy or Deb?
Well, just congratulate, this one's not a question, I do have questions. But congratulations to Deb, I don't think we gave her a round of applause, but nice accomplishment. Well done. So we're linking like technology with physical education. Do you see down the road, because when you might have a student athlete, a son or a daughter, and they go and they're interested in playing in college, nutrition is a big part of what that college offers. So if you're tying in technology to phys ed, do you ever see that like nutrition, instead of just being in the health side of things, that it'd be tied into physical education, the knowing of how important nutrition is to your body?
It is on the platform. Nutrition is on the platform.
Oh, it is?
Nutrition is on the platform, yes.
Like in phys ed, you'd speak to that, and we teach young people like about how important nutrition is, and not like Coca-Cola and stuff like that.
It's always a fine line how we communicate things, but we, when it's an appropriate time to communicate about nutrition, we do. So yes, it is part of our overall curriculum, yes.
And Sean, I'd feel that our health teachers actually do an excellent job with all of the nutrition education. I can't say that I have kids of my own, but I would say it's kind of like anything else you tell them. If you tell them this is where you should go and this is where you shouldn't, they're gonna dabble where, you know, Coca-Cola's good. That's what I'm gonna have. I don't know, we have a student here, we can ask how that goes.
Drinking water, look at her.
It's in front of her. But that's also another thing we're working to do more collaboration with, is with our health teachers. Because as my title, it's phys ed and athletics, so we notice all around the state, health always gets just left, and it's one of the most important pieces too. So with our monthly meetings, we're doing a lot more discussion of what do our health teachers need. We have 2 in the district. And we can be doing more and getting that coordinated, but as Deb said, we're still working on getting, you know, K-12 alignment as opposed to in just phys ed. So then we can start incorporating the health pieces in, especially when we do fitness units. So we're working.
Is the nutrition piece at the primary level? I know there's no health-specific classes. Seems reasonable. Would there ever be an opportunity to do nutrition education in the physical education space at the lower grade levels?
I would say there's some elementary teachers behind me, and they can tell you that their list of things to cover with all the state recommendations of reading, math, everything else, because
Right.
I've lived this in a different
Yep.
district, but they'll tell you that's hard to find time to put this in. Some districts do hire an elementary health teacher, and they go in and do certain lessons. You know, bigger, I would say way bigger districts. But as funding decreases, all those positions start decreasing. So is there an opportunity? Yes, I'm gonna say we would have to be looking at another person, because I know our elementary teachers, I don't wanna speak for them, but I do know that their plates are probably
No, I wasn't
full.
talking about
But
them.
if we had like an extra
Right.
body that could make the rounds, I would think that's something that it would be great, and then we're not behind the ball when we get there. But
Right. I just meant as far as implementing during physical education classes.
from what I've witnessed, they talk about it, like heart healthy habits and
Right.
those things. I don't know if there's specific
Yeah.
exact nutrition. I know when I'm there, they're like, oh, we're gonna do vegetables and go grab this for a vegetable and this for like. They do talk about
Right.
food groups and what you should and shouldn't have. At least in the ones I've seen, I haven't seen all of them do this lesson, but they do talk about it. They address it, but it's
Yep.
minimal in the time that they have because trying to get a class of kindergartners for 30 minutes to stay focused, to want to talk about fruits and vegetables, and they just
Right.
want to go grab and run and go. But
Right.
I do know that in the classes that I've been in for elementary PE, they do address it in grade level appropriate
Yep.
ways.
Since we're talking about that, well, I guess it could go for all of our schools. What is the requirement or the mandated amount of physical education classes that our district has to be providing to our students?
Do you want that? No. What's that? I know if you look on the state website, there is required minutes. It is 30 minutes daily at the K-2 level. I can pat myself on the back knowing that my previous district, we did that. But here, it's really tough, and that's why when she mentions the staff that we have, it's tough to meet the minutes. So really here, they're going on an every other day schedule, which is the acceptable norm at middle and high school when you have the every other day schedule. For grades 3 through 5, it's 120 minutes weekly. And I should stand corrected. At K-2, it's 120 minutes weekly, but they prefer daily with that
Right.
because
Right.
it's so important. So the K-2 gets the daily recommendation, and then the 3 through 5 gets the 120-minute flat week recommendation. The high school used to have, or middle and high school used to have similar minute regulations, and to the best of my knowledge, within the last couple of years, that actual minute regulation has seemed to disappear off the regulation. So us as directors of PE have no idea what happened,
Right.
but we still follow the every other day because it fits the overall 120 minutes when you add it all up for the whole year.
So for the 30 minutes a day for K through 2, what's the obstacle that is preventing us to providing that every day?
I would say there's probably a couple, like facilities, staffing, time.
Specialists. I mean,
Time.
the schedule. I don't know, outside of Cindy's former district, I don't know any district that could manage 30 minutes every single day. That's a recommendation. The mandate is really that they're 100
Right.
a week.
Yeah, and like I said, Julie, I did stand corrected on the K-2. It's 120 minutes weekly. So if
Weekly.
it was 30 minutes
Yeah,
for whatever
got ya.
day, they could do
Okay.
that. But they want something done with K-2, it's daily. And
Okay.
again, in other districts, they would try to do that in the classroom. But let's face it, elementary teachers have a lot on their plate to cover all the reading and writing, arithmetic, everything else. But again, in my previous district, it was smaller, but we worked it out with ELA. That's how we did it. So.
Okay.
How do our students get to intramurals?
How do they get to intramurals? They're already there. They're at school already, so they're it's right after school. It's right after school, and they take the bus home.
We were talking about before school. Did that ever happen before?
Elementary schools, I think, might have some morning programming, but at the high school level and in the middle school level, it's after school. It's right after school.
I have a couple more questions. I'm so sorry. Is the athletic trainer, is Mike at all sporting events? I know that's impossible. I know that's a crazy question. So how is it determined which events he actually is present for? As you mentioned, as we rely on a trainer for injury.
Right. Similar to safety, we put him at events that are contact sports first. After that, it's wherever I would like him to go or wherever we feel a need.
Okay.
So let's say we had like a volleyball game versus that league cross country meet that we had.
Right.
With so many people, I had asked that he was at league cross country and then he would come down to volleyball after.
Okay.
That's really communication. When we get into winter, Julie, it'll be a matter of hockey versus, why is he not at basketball? Well, hockey's a little more contact than
Yeah,
basketball.
got you. Okay. Yeah, can't be in two places.
He tries to be.
You go, just take turns. I have a couple more.
I just have one more. When we talk about sportsmanship, I was wondering your perspective on the student section and how we create equity with what happens when you're in your section meetings and you're talking to other ADs. You have a staff here, they have their staff. But in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of Oswego community members, we're a lot more strict on our student section than the schools that we compete against. I've lived it firsthand. So how do you establish that equity with your the other athletic directors so that it is sportsmanship and it's all equal and our student section is able to cheer the same? And again, I'm not, no tongue in cheek. I mean, it should be above level, but similar to the student sections when we go to other schools.
I knew this question was coming. And again, I tried to preface it earlier, but when we talk amongst our league, because obviously that's smaller, we have 15 schools. So I do get a feel with lots of ADs, different experiences, different venues, different facilities, everything. So we go around and we talk about what do we do at our sites. I'm sure there's a lot I can't mention here because I don't want to be recorded and have it out there, but there's other things behind the scenes. But I will also say that we lived it within our league last year. You and I know what we're talking about, and people around the room might too. And it's a school that's in our league, and it was a sectional event, and things went haywire. And I would just ask, and I spoke with the athletic director, and I just said, I spoke with the section. I actually went above that and said, that's where I'm saying we need to have expectations that are written out, especially hosting a sectional event. Of these things need to be in place, because you have to prepare for any situation like a court rushing or anything like that, and nothing was in place. Things could have got way worse than they did last year. But I would think for me, like, I'm doing what I can here. I'm sorry if people feel it's more restrictive, but I think I'm pretty clear, especially in any preseason meeting or sportsmanship announcements, that here in Oswego, I think the only thing I need to do different now is place signs up that say, this is what's allowed, this is what's not allowed. The minute you do something on the naughty list, that's a warning. And then after that, you are exited. And I think if we can get something within our league that is universal and is hung in gyms, yes, it's hanging there, but at least we can all reference it when something goes a little crazy. And then, like I said, and when it goes farther beyond that, I think the section, we need to have expectations if you're hosting those, because, like I said last year, if we just had ropes that kind of held people back, it would have been a little easier. But
I can't imagine that it's easy to establish that, but I think it's important in this setting and people that are paying attention to these meetings to hear that you are going back and that you're working with other ADs and that you're not turning your head to it and that you're engaged in these conversations. So I appreciate that, and I think it's important for everybody to know.
okay, yeah, and thank you. And like I said, if we can come up with something universal, I think that's a good step for us to be. But having just stuff written there, we got to make sure our staff are also able to enforce that. And I think that's where we fall short at some of these events. I know I do what I can with the staff I have, and they're trained to the best that we can do. And that's how we're going to handle things here. And like I said, I want everyone to have a good experience. And it's unfortunate that we learn a lot from attending professional sports or college sports or youth sports or club sports, because to me, those are not education-based. So we have a higher standard here in a school district to make sure students are educated in what should or should not be happening at athletic events, whether you're a player, coach, parent, kid, like anything. So I guess that's my outlook.
Let's provide clarity,
Yep.
right? So what's not permitted? Don't call a person's name. Do not call out a number. Like it's about, when you look at the, I'll use Cindy's nomenclature, the naughty list, it's small. It really is small. We want students and families there and positive. What can't happen is cursing. What can't happen is trying to call out kids and coaches. Like, that's not positive. It doesn't support students' involvement. Like that's the key. There are two other things that it might seem different in different spaces because every space feels different. So there are lots of times where I've been in a space that might be bigger or smaller, and behavior occurs that might be noticed in one space and not in another. And one other variable that we can't control is there are absolutely times where referees will take exception, and that might be their own personal exception, and no other referee might take that, and they might make a decision that they are going to step in. And that's something we can't have control over. And that could be a perception issue, that could be any number of pieces. But the thing that Cindy and I have talked a lot about is what do we do to ensure that, one, our students understand and our families understand what is permissible, what is not, so that hopefully we want a rowdy atmosphere. We want an atmosphere that's electric in our facilities, but people at the same time also have to understand there are limits to that, and it has to be positive and encouraging for our students.
Anything else?
I just have two
Okay.
things, I'm sorry. I have a question about the weight rooms. I loved when last summer, there was this notice that came out to all the student body that the weight room was accessible to students. There was schedule. I think there was someone down there, like maybe morning and then later in the afternoon. You don't have to answer this. I'm just wondering if there was, how that was responded to. Did people participate? Did it go well? Are you going to do it again? I mean, I'm just curious about it. I never heard about it.
I think every summer that I've been here, we've always done it.
Okay.
This year, I just blasted out more parent square messages because we're finally on board with that in the district. And I think that's a great thing. But
Yeah.
as far as attendance, I don't think it was highly attended.
Okay.
I think if I charged kids to do it, they'd come because they feel like they're getting something. No, I'm just joking, guys. But our athletic trainer does do that in the summer because he has a degree in sports conditioning. And so he does, and he can work with students in there. I know that one of our coaches was also involved in getting kids in there, and he also has the degree to do that. So we had enough people in there and a lot of adults wanting kids to work out, but not a lot of kids working out.
Gotcha.
So he did give me the numbers at one point. I want to say it was probably 20 kids over the whole span of the summer, and some of those were repeats.
Okay.
So some of the things we took from that is if we get that information out earlier, maybe kids could probably plan that with their summer jobs and whatever else they're doing. So
Was there any, did coaches encourage their teams to? Okay, great.
yeah, and again,
Yeah,
Julie, if
yeah.
we could I can get those hours out earlier. I think get an agreement with coaches and then our athletic trainer,
Yeah.
and then just once we get a more uniform front,
Yeah.
we can probably get more kids in
Yeah,
there
I
at
thought it
certain
was
times.
great. It was
Yep.
great. And lastly, I just wanted to ask about, I know that you spoke about transportation, and I heard you speak to, I think it was modified games, that you were kind of stacking them up to kind of piggyback with both teams on a bus. I'm just wondering, given the state of transportation and what we have seen historically for the last couple of years, with our JV and our varsity teams both traveling to the same school, the JV bus leaving at 4:30, the varsity bus leaving at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, is there a reason why we can't or wouldn't consider putting teams together, not just to address the transportation issue, but also to kind of foster that,
Camaraderie.
yes, camaraderie, thank you.
I mean, it's something I've thought about, but prior to me being here, I think they did do that.
They did.
Since I've been here, that hasn't been a thing, so it would be me revisiting that. But I do know that it's weird because if we need to do it, fine, but I don't know if that's going to necessarily save, because when you're talking, I'll just throw out soccer. They might have 20, 25 kids. We're still going to need the two buses to get those kids there, most likely, because they're now talking 50 plus their coaches. Most of the buses that we would get early, if it's not a school bus, would be, I don't think it would hold that number of students. But either way, our varsity going later is really, that's not an issue of getting a bus, because we've got a bus available to bring them later. It's really
Right.
the early runs are where we have the problem. So that's why I brought up the modified situation, because if we played modified basketball, let's say 2 teams, like one at Central Square, one at Fulton, that's still 2 early runs, and that's really the issue, is the early runs, because once we're past 4:30 and leaving, then I'm more likely to get drivers that are finishing runs.
I'm just
but it's
saying,
something
because
I
I've
can
seen these
research.
hail buses all over the place.
Yeah, it is something
And
I can
so from a
research.
financial standpoint, I thought it would have made more sense.
Right, it's something I can research, but I feel like any time we have the early route is when we run into the problem, if we don't have
Right.
drivers available.
Right.
And the time I'm given is 4:15 maybe, or 4:30 is when I can get the first driver back.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
Okay,
it's,
yeah. Thanks.
I don't know, I only have my permit.
Great, thank you, guys. I have 2 questions, but I can get the answers later. But when you talked about wearables, do you have a plan for that you're looking at in terms of data collection to utilize it? And I can get the answers later from you. And okay, yeah, because it's just how we would implement that. And have you read the book Spark? That's my only question. There's a great book called Spark, and it's talk about education, physical education, the effect on kids' brains. And there was an experimentation they did years ago outside of Chicago with heart rate monitors, and used kids that were at risk, brought them in the morning, exercised, and then went to school and saw the difference in performance. So it's just circulating in my mind, and I can talk to you later about that. But I'm curious with the wearables. But thank you so much. I think it's. Thank you for the presentation.
Thanks.
Excellent. So now we move on to committee discussion. And Sean, do we?
Fall newsletter was mailed and printed and mailed, and should be in everybody's hands by the end of the week at the latest.
Okay. I wanted to say one thing too, Sean. If we can schedule a meeting for the committee, the NISBA conference that was online, there was a segment about community relations and different ways to approach. We've done a great job, I think, in getting the newsletter out and going to that next level, and then it explores other possibilities to get community involvement. So if we get together and schedule one, that would be great. And anyone else? Nope. Okay. So now we move on to the consent agenda. If I can get a motion, items A through H for the consent agenda.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Tim. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sean. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And moving on to personnel, if I can get a motion to accept the personnel report A through H. Can I get a motion for that, please?
I'll move.
Thank you, Julie. And a second? Thank you, Sean. And no discussion, so all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Again, motion carries 5-0.
If I could just speak real quickly, now that the board has acted on personnel, I just want to draw the board's attention. I know we've had some conversations behind the scenes. We have our FPS elementary principal is moving to a new position in another district in December. And so as soon as we were notified, we started the process to look for an interim. And then also, in tandem, opened up a search to look for a permanent replacement. It's never ideal to replace a principal mid-year. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The ideal time to do a administrative search is going to be in the spring, when you have a July 1st start. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One is you're going to have usually the largest applicant pool because during that late winter, early spring is when people are starting to look for positions. You're not going to have a sitting administrator likely want to move or leave a district mid-year. And more importantly, especially when we're talking about an elementary principal, many times an elementary principal, we may not have a lateral move. It could be a principal's first administrative position, which would mean they would be in the classroom. And many teachers are very protective of their students. And so under no circumstances would they want to leave their students in mid-year. So it's typically best practice to push off. We ran both because we weren't sure if we would be able to find an interim. And that's always the difficult piece. It's harder and harder to find administrators, just like it's harder and harder to find teachers to fill these positions. So we were, thankfully, Donna Simmons, who was FPS principal for 14 years, agreed to come on and serve in the role up until the end of the first semester. And so that gave us a little bit of breathing room to kind of continue our search, both for an interim, but also for permanent as well. And then just last week, we were able to finalize and find an interim candidate that will take us through the end of the school year. And so Brian Kessel, which you just approved, will be the interim principal for the second semester, former assistant superintendent of curriculum out of West Genesee, administrator, educator for more than 30 years. And so I'm grateful both to Donna and to Brian for willing to come to Oswego and serve our students. And that will allow us to go through a more typical process and allow us to, reopen the search, if you will, late winter, early spring, so that we can have a July 1 start. The other positive about a July 1 start that I failed to mention is that gives whoever's walking into a building, whether they're new to the community or not, July and August to adjust. It is really difficult for a building administrator to walk in the door in the middle of a school year. There's a lot of pieces that they may have to learn, whether it's a new position, a new building, or a new district, or all of the above. So all of those pieces, I think we're in a much better position to help and support Fitzhugh Park moving forward. At the conclusion of this meeting, I'll send a follow-up email to the staff, and then I'm going to send out a full email to the full Fitzhugh Park community tomorrow, just announcing that plan, so there's clarity for everyone that's there.
Thank you, Ray. And now we move on to finance. If I could get a motion for items A through C. A through C.
I'll move.
Thank you. Julie, can I get a second? A second, Sean, thank you. Items A through C, these are the acceptance of the awards for the capital improvement project, Phase 4B, mechanical bid, electrical bid, and Phase 4 site bid. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. If we can go to items D through E, D and E in finance, can I get a motion, please?
I'll move.
Thank you, Julie.
Second.
Thank you, Sean. And those are discussion. Just want to say thank you again. There's donations for Charles E. Riley and Minetto Elementary, and I think the one at Riley School is for a life-size game. So I want to go over and play with that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And finally, under Finance, F, resolution approving the settlement. And that is approving the settlement as presented. Can I get a motion?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Tim. Second, please.
Second.
Thank you, Sean. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And now it's on to items from the board. Do we have anything? Well, go ahead, John.
Jabber mentioned it, but I just got the newsletter today, and I mean, this looks great. So I'm sure that it'll be well received by our community. I'm glad that we're doing this on a frequent basis. It's really nice.
Excellent. Thank you. I just wanted to let everybody know the process as far as filling the seat, the vacant board seat, and the process. We put out the applications last week, and we had 20 people apply. So 20 people threw their hat in the ring. We appreciate that. We think it's a great sign from the district that people are connected and listening. And tonight in executive session, we will start a deliberation process. Our intent is to be able to come back at our next meeting and to appoint a person to that seat and take a vote and have them join us at the beginning of the year. Our first meeting, I think, is January 9th, and that will be our first meeting. So that's the plan, and I think that's all I have on that. So now, there is a need for executive session, and it is to move to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing matters leading to the appointment of a particular person to the school board. Can I get a motion, please? Thank you, Julie. And a second? Thank you very much, Sean. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much.